what is the combo that you bring with you? You don't need 5 knives, you need a saw, an axe, and a specific knife, a folding knife, a multi-tool, etc. Now, many of you write to me in the comments or via email about this point, the point that you don't need many knives, you need just the right combo of tools, and it's correct. But trying to answer to these questions, I realized that I don't have one specific combo that comes with me all the time. It depends by the environment that I'm facing, in the situation I'm moving in. So in this video I'll try to explain what is my experience, and a big disclaimer, it's just my opinion based on my experience. Can be relevant for someone, can be completely wrong, or start from a completely wrong statement for other people. Another disclaimer at the beginning, I'm going to use the idea of make the job done. That is something in between of using your tools and survive, etc. Why? Because again, my point of view is based on the point that I need different tools and different arrangement of tools in the normal situation and even in an emergency, even facing an unpredictable situation that can become a matter of life or death. So a survival situation. I start anyway with the setup of instrument, of tools, and for me those are related to the environment, are strongly related to the environment. So to try to organize the content of this video, I divide my experience in 3 main categories. The first one is if I'm operating in a mostly urban environment. The second is if I'm in a mostly wild environment or remote area, very remote area. The third one, if I'm in my property, working around. I live in a countryside, in a not so much populated area, and I have acres of woods, and I have to take care of this property. So I'll move from the less knife-friendly environment to the more knife-friendly environment. So the first category is urban environment. And for urban, I don't mean only cities or town, but I mean also environment where the human presence is crucial and very pervasive and immanent. So in this kind of environment, there are 2 possibilities. The first, that is some places where it's completely illegal to carry any kind of knife. So in my experience, those are military facilities, especially if you are not a military personnel from that base, or UN facility, or prisons. 2 places that came in my mind in my experience were Porton Down in UK or Policharki, the prison of Kabul. If I go in place like there, I don't carry, in general I don't carry what I don't use. So in those facilities I don't carry nothing with me. I don't want to put my knife, if it's expensive or not, in a locker, or I just let's say increase the attention to my person from the guard personnel, etc. So if I know that I cannot bring nothing, I don't bring nothing. I prefer to manage the impossibility to have a knife than to deal with someone in a uniform, maybe with firearms, that shouting to me in a language that I don't understand. But there are situations where I can carry knives, maybe not really on my person, but I can transport knives and tools. In this case, what I bring, the minimum that I bring with me, is a Letterman, and I have just this one since ages now. Is the old Letterman Charge, the one without the changeable blade, and I don't know, I use this a lot. It's probably this plier has more than 10 years and it still works fine. As a S30VN blade, and I use quite a bit, especially the serrated one is completely ruined now, but it still works. It works fine. It's work fine. Anyway, the other is a Victorinox Swiss Army knife. In particular, this compact model is very convenient because there's a lot of things that can even complete the Letterman and make sense to carry together. It's a good combo for me. It's the minimum, the bare minimum that I want to have with me, where it's not possible to have with you a fixed blade or a bigger knife. With these two tools, I can manage many things. In general, the Swiss Army knife and the Letterman can be, let's say, carried in a concealed way. What I mean is, if I put this one in a toolbox and I put this Victorinox in a beauty case where I put all my grooming stuff, all my teeth brush, my I don't know, my shampoo, etc. Basically, usually people don't give us the weight of a weapon, of a potential weapon. They think, okay, this is a tool and this is something for grooming, also because these have the scissors, no? So in many places where it's not really possible to carry a knife, you can transport a knife, or at least I experienced this. I can transport these two tools, putting in the right place, let's say. So this is my first category. Second tool set or knife combo is for the urban situation where I'm allowed to bring a knife. And some situation is more about what is strictly forbidden or not. Other situations are more about what is appropriate to carry with you. There are contexts where I really can put on my hip this fixed blade and no one gonna care about that. Others where if I have this in the backpack is better. So why this choice? Is my Letterman, especially with the inserts that come along with it, is a complete, almost complete toolbox in the pocket. My folding knife for EDC use and a fixed blade. Why this fixed blade, the Riff F5? Because it's strong, it's very sturdy. It's basically impossible to break, for me at least, and it cuts pretty well. It's not really a home in the bush for me. It's my opinion. I know that many of you are gonna say, no, this is a great bushcraft knife, etc. Okay, I have other knife that I prefer in the bush, but in the wilderness. But for urban environment, this one can be. You can pray with this. You can find your way out from many situations with this knife. So for the urban context where I'm allowed to bring knives with me, I choose this. For if I have to remove one to have just three, I remove the Swiss Army knife and I'm gonna go with these three knives. Last situation where the presence of human beings are more crucial in my choice than the environment itself. So let's call it urban situation, but can be also rural or bare populated area, where the presence of people is still crucial, is where due to the criminality or due to the law enforcement system can happen situation where my knife risks to be steal or confiscated. For example, when I reach sometimes areas where there are a lot of checkpoints, I don't want to have with me something, first of all, that raise the attention of the people that are checking my luggage, because can become an excuse to ask me money or to confiscate other goodies that I care more than the knife. For example, I don't know, my communication system or something like that. So I want something that if I lost, or because some people from criminality they stole me, or because someone confiscate to me, I'm not gonna cry a lot, and I'm not gonna complain in front of the person that is stealing or confiscating to me. So a Moraniv companion. This one is pretty old, but is I used a lot and it works still pretty well. It's an okay knife. I can do 90% of the things, probably 95% of the things that I do with much more expensive knife, and it works fine. And it costs, I don't know, 12 euro, something like that. And then the Swiss Army knife. Again, it costs maybe, I don't know, around 30 euro, something like that, but still, if I lost them, I'm not gonna cry a lot. Let's go to the next category. Wild environment, bare populated area, remote area. In my experience, those are the one where having a knife became much more crucial, and having the right tool can make really the difference between life or death. Or if we want to be a little bit less dramatic, something like having the right tool gonna make your life much more easy, and a situation that you can solve with a tool maybe cannot become a life-threatening condition. So let's start from the desertic area. For desertic area, I mean something that is basically very arid. When you're gonna have small vegetation, there's gonna be low humidity, and there are not too much wood to process, and in my experience, those are areas that go from the real desert, what you can really call desert, like the Sahara Desert, for example, the northwest of Sudan, or the Helmand region in Afghanistan. Those areas are different, but in many of the desertic areas that I experienced, the absence or the few vegetation that you meet is not gonna be you're not gonna need big blade to process. So I have my small fixed blade with me. Again, these are the minimum that I want to bring with me. A small blade with the chance to make a fire, even if I can just make a fire with some brush, etc., some small branch of desertic tree, etc. SO, why SO? Because in my experience in this area there is a lot of very hard wood, and I don't want an axe. To bring an axe maybe just to cut small pieces of dry tree, etc. So what I want to have is something to cut cross fiber and something to slice with the fibers of the wood. That's it for me. In this kind of environment where the wood is in so small quantity, I don't want to have much more than this. Then why I put a Letterman here? Because in this kind of environment, in my experience at least, I move a lot with car, in basically Land Cruiser or something like that. In if I'm in a car, I want to have some kind of tools that can help me to repair minor things that maybe can stop my car. But if I have, for example, a plier or a screwdriver, I can fix and go back to the road and go. These are the 3 tools that I want to have with me in a desertic or very arid area. Next environment, subtropical, tropical or equatorial rainforest. So forests that are characterized by a lot of humidity, a very, very complicated and intricate vegetation where you need something to clean your way, etc. In this kind of environment, I don't want an axe, I want a machete. Now, this one is the original one from West Africa. I cover of oil now, but because it's almost a souvenir from that period of my life, but I use tools exactly like this, made locally. This one was made by a spring of a truck, and those are very good for the job that I have to do. They are very cheap, pretty handy, and you can work with these very easily. You can resharpen with a rock from a river. They work pretty well. I use this kind of size of machete usually because this is what is okay for my arm and for my back, etc. In general, if I have to go mostly by foot, I going to pack in my backpack something more light like this. If I'm in the mostly with Land Cruiser, I'm going to pack something little heavier and bigger like this. Then what I want to have is a small knife that I'm going to use for anything that this kind of blades are too big, and I want to have a saw. This silk is okay for this kind of application because this coated blade is not gonna rust so easily, and in this kind of environment the rust is your main problem. And then if I'm with the car again, I want my Letterman with me with the inserts that go along. If I have to remove something and go minimalistic, I'm going to go like this with the Letterman and the some kind of machete, parang or whatever, because with these two tools I can sort out 90% of my problems. Again, is my experience. You're going to have a different approach or experience, and it's completely fine. I'm just sharing with you what I experienced. This setup was very useful for me in the West Africa forest between Sierra Leone and Liberia, but also in southwest of Uganda, and was fine for me. Then, if I'm in a boreal forest, what I mean is this kind of north side of the world forest. I experienced that in Scandinavia, in northeast of Europe, in the Alps, in the Pyrenees, between Spain and France, and in North America, etc. In this kind of environment, for me, the main concern, especially in winter, is to make a fire. To make a fire and to have enough easy life in making fire. What I want is something to process wood. It depends if I'm in the car or if I'm walking. What kind of tool I'm gonna bring. Anyway, I'm gonna have some kind of axe, some kind of saw. Again, this silk is work fine enough. A small knife is gonna stay inside of my clothes, near to my body. If I don't know, anything is gonna happen, unless I'm completely naked, I'm gonna have this knife with me with the ferro rod. I'm gonna survive with this if I don't have a arm broken or other stuff. Then for the normal use, and these two kind of knife are representative of two different approach. This can split wood, is a very good fire making tool, is a Falkniven S1 Pro that I changed the handle. I changed the handle in Scandinavia, I believe, last time, because before I made this walnut handle, but then was not big enough to work with and was grippy enough for gloves, and so I add this wrap, and then now if I'm bare hands, I don't know if I like this handle, but with gloves, especially when it's very very cold and I wear at least two pair of gloves, is grippy now, and it's okay. I'm not gonna feel. And this one is like one tool option that I used a lot, and it's okay, it's fine. A little bit expensive for my point of view, but it's okay, it's work fine. If I'm sure that I have the axe with me, the Castron D'Arsphalt, especially this Jarv, it's fine for me as a main belt knife. So basically I'm gonna have this knife, one axe, one saw, the backup knife inside of my clothes, and my Letterman if I'm going with cars or other vehicles that can be repaired, and a small toolbox again gonna come very handy for me. Finally, when I at home, what I bring with me all day long, I have this belt that I arranged in the years, an axe, a belt knife, a possible pouch, how you call that, a belt pouch that is full of goodies that I use in my property, and a small folding saw. Why I use this folding saw instead of the bigger Silky Boy? Because if I need something bigger than this, I'm going with a back saw or with a chainsaw, and so I'm not gonna sweat all day trying to cut something by hand if I can use my chainsaw. Other tool that I put in my pouch are the Letterman, or sometimes if I stay out all day and I want to eat, a knife to eat my lunch. Sometimes I use this old pair of scissors to pruning, and it come very handy, or this kind of cutter to cut barbed wire, etc. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.